だけ全て手にする準備を頭の中のノイズシャットダウン過去の影蹴り飛ばして Run now 終わりなきゲームなら勝つだけ恐れずマイステップステップ突破する限界にロックオン常識なんてブレイクして Crossroads 16のロビティコに乗せて Move on 誰も知らない場所まで Go on And on どのでも失敗してその場かに強くなるから決めた道を止まらず進めまだ終わりじゃない、yeah! 警戒突破警戒突破夢の塔叩き続けろ Burn it up burn it up 恐れるな自分を信じろ限界突破限界突破夢の塔叩き続けろ Burn it up burn it up
API discoverability for agentic tool use or even sub-agents. Anthropic has released those MCPs, as you know, but to tell you the truth, I don't see what is revolutionary about those. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to not be too long. We're going to stay 1 hour together, and I'm going to be building an understanding of how you can make API discoverable tools for your agentic systems. It will be custom. So here we're going to use API, and we're going to make it and show how our agent system can use those tools and discover what those tools are offering in terms of abilities. Okay, so making API discoverable, that's what we're going to see. We're not going to rush, we're going to go step by step, slowly. So you can bring some food from the fridge, sit down and chill, and patiently watch this video. At the end, you will develop an understanding of how this system works, because the way I'm going to explain it is going to simplify your understanding of it, and that's how I understand it myself. So if you have any inputs about that, just comment, and I'll be responding whenever I have time, as I'm going to be just focusing on this. Yes, what I'm building now is the schema, something that looks like a schema. So just imagine you have an app, an application. In that application is going to be serving some data, or is going to provide some explanations, or provide some documentation. An AI agent is going to be calling this application. So just, I don't know, you can think like, this is Stripe, this is an MCP of AWS. So you're going to connect to that MCP. You're going to get some information about what is available. Here I put just, for example, description, tool functions. So it's freestyle what I'm doing at the moment. So I'll be correcting that slowly later. Just the first idea, I have a schema, tool functions, prompt templates. The description is just going to say, what is the description of the API. After you might get some endpoints available, you can explain what are those endpoints. Here I'm showing it in terms of like a dictionary, but it can be just a file as well. A file with text. So the tool doesn't need to be complicated. want just your AI agent to have a set of actions that are part of a selection, and your agent can just choose what it's going to do depending on the user request. So I'm a user, I send a request, the request is sent, the AI agent system is going to receive it. After having received that request, it's going to be passing through different nodes to analyze the request, to save it to the states or in the database. And after that, it's going to be sending that to another node for another process. And at this time, it will be able to select out of a set of tools which ones are the most appropriate to answer to the user request. The user request can be very complex, which is going to be maybe calling several tools to be able to answer to that request. So how are you going to do that in your application? You're going to use a loop function. So first call, agent comes, read the request, the user request. After it's going to go into the library of tools available. It's going to read the short description of each tool. From that, it's going to select one tool. It's going to call the tool, or to directly use it, or to get some information first about what is this tool about. So this is what you can do when you're using this kind of system. And that's what we're going to show here in this video slowly. Here I'm building the schema while I'm talking. So yes, you got this tool, having this loop, selecting one of those functions. The function is going to be sending is going to use it to send a request to an endpoint. And that's where it's a bit different from normal tool use. This endpoint is going to first send a GET request. It's going to get information. And when it's going to get those informations, it's going to be able to see what is required to use that tool. And it's going to be in the second call, provide all those different parameters, information. And he's going to get his first response, sending a post request. So get request to get information, you just discover what the tool is able to do and what are the requirements to use that tool. And in the second call is a post request, fulfilling all those prerequisites. And after it's going to get a response. It's going to take that response, it's going to put it in a memory or in a history of response. And that history is going to be just growing and being used for the next call in that loop system. After that, the agent is going to again evaluate if it needs another tool. So you need to be good at prompting in order for the agent to understand that you need to analyze at every single round if the request has been answered correctly, fulfilled. Also, you need to handle the size of the history because it can't be just growing indefinitely. So you need to have some systems of summarization. That's why here I'm going to add one endpoint that we usually need which is called summarize. And I'm going to add another endpoint, can be just to provide a normal answer. Yes, at the moment I'm just building the schema, so slowly building it while talking to you. And after I'm going to be making the other pieces, just to show how you can use your own custom API tooling system. It can be remote, it can be on another server, you can use URL with your own DNS, so you can customize it as much as you want, but you need just to get it in how simple it is. It's not that complicated. It's just API request, one GET request, providing the information, and after the agent is going to decide what to do next with a second post request. Maybe the API is going to ask for arguments, or maybe the API is just going to give directly from a GET request all the required information. So it doesn't need any post request. You're just calling it because the information is stored there. For example, you have something complicated to code. You've made a documentation about it. It's somewhere in another server, and you want to have an endpoint so that your agentic systems can call it to get an example, to be able to work with that example and keep going into their specific tasks. That can be one scenario. Okay, so here in the schema we have the description, we have a kind of endpoint system, summarize, analyze and answer. We have a payload that is expected by this application with the model, URL, message, maybe some more arguments. I just want you here to have an ID, so maybe better to put as a key here just /summarize, and I just put a description here into the value to summarize document, endpoint answer to answer to any question, and endpoint analyze to analyze data, for example. Yes, this is a schema just to prepare information that is going to be provided by the application side. I mean the API endpoint that is going to be called by our agentic system. I'm just building it in a kind of a JSON form. Just giving you an idea of how the response could look like. It can be also just plain text, as I said before. So choose provider for the provider. Maybe I'm not going to say choose, I'm just going to describe the provider model, the model corresponding to that provider. So maybe under this, I'm not going to do a huge schema, but under this maybe there's another key called provider with all the providers, all the models available for each provider, and every single URL where you can call those providers. Okay, so at least like that you have an idea of how the schema could look like, the schema that our agent would receive after having called this endpoint. So I'm trying to think at how I'm gonna do the rest at the same time. So here we are relax, chill. I'm gonna do it step by step. I'm gonna be modifying, but at the end, for the people who arrive late, I'll be re-explaining everything. What is good is that they'll get the whole diagram made, so they'll be able to follow along without seeing the building steps. So I wanted you also to see how I make those diagrams, so you can do yours the same way. You just follow your thought process and you put it on paper somehow. This is a way to do that. What is good with that is that you can take a screenshot of it after having developed your own beliefs, your own plan, and talk, debate with an AI, any AI, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Anthropic, and you can just talk with those in order to improve yourself into designing the systems. So here I'm just going to put the endpoints. So this will be the door where I'm going to list all the endpoints and try to simulate an application having those endpoints. Let's put here analyze, all in the same. So what I'm planning to do this year is also develop some nodes, different application nodes. Those nodes will be pluggable to any agentic system. So they will be standalone nodes. But what I'm gonna build today, I'm gonna draw today and show you, that's this kind of system that I'm gonna use for anyone to be able to use my nodes and plug it to their AI systems. So you can use that for data analysis, you can use that for question answer summarization, you can use that for marketing purposes, for lead generation. So there's different ways to use that. I have several ideas that I'm going to be developing throughout the year. So I don't know yet how I'm going to put it in production, in which form. Probably mobile applications or web application, or even a service digital product. Someone buys the digital product and straight away get a zip file with the full code, full explanations, Docker containers, architecture. I'm gonna add some more inside, so I'll try to see how to package it. Because I've made, at the end of last year, several applications for myself, my different workflows. So that's how the idea came to me. I just told to myself, you've been coding for those 2 past years, creating different AI systems. So maybe it would be nice to have my own repository with all the different nodes that I will be able to plug to any agentic systems that I use. That's how I started with this idea. Okay, so whatever I try to sell, it's something that I use personally. So I'm the persona. Alright, so we have the schema, which is done. Just let me put this here just to say that there can be more stuff. It's not limited to that. This is just an example, and we can have more keys, like for example providers, to get more information about those providers. Okay, here maybe we can just say JSON returned. Yes, let me get rid of this. Returned JSON. Okay, and here we have the API backend. Let me make it smaller. Here we have the API backend with all the routes, and each route has maybe an agentic system behind it, has just simple code also, it can be just that, has some linked APIs, so the complexity can just go berserk. So post request goes to the backend API for the post routes, and the get for the get routes. I just separate it, but it's all together in the same application. And now having this endpoint, we can start here going to the side of the, let's say, our agentic system. So on the right side is what you can call your MCP or your API, where you get those informations. On the left side, you get the agentic system used by the user. There is a route, discover route. So I'm just going to write it this way. Just let's simulate it with a server IP. So I'll put 192. It's okay, 192.168.10.12. That's for the IP address at the port 5055, and the route is /discover, and that's the GET request. Okay, so that's the agent requesting informations. Just goes here like that. I'll put some colors later on. We're just at the beginning. But you start to get an idea of how this is going to work. Yes, that's what we're doing at the moment. We're doing something that looks like an MCP, but I don't see where the revolution is in MCP, so that's why I'm just calling it an API here, application tool, or it can be also a sub-agent that you can have remotely like that. And I'm showing you how you can maybe picture it in your mind to simplify, so that you can create your own custom tools, remote tools, so that wherever you build an application, you just call that endpoint, you get the information, the agent that you have built, get the information. So here's user with a CSV file, for example, for analysis. So it's going to call the analyze route. Okay. So I put get, but it should be post. It's okay. Put it here. Here I'm just gonna say tool call. I'll put some more text inside after. So the user has a CSV. You want to send it and ask for an analysis of it. It goes to our agentic system. Here I'm just going to put 1 square for the agentic system. Not going to overcomplicate. Tool call with logic discovery, then action. So the agentic system is already prepared. It's going to be trying to discover, so trying to see which tool is the right one to use after calling the tool's discovery endpoint, and after that getting the information and trying to perform user requests. Okay. So what do we need next? Let's do the answer. Coming back to the agentic system, and after the agentic system, calling the route analyze with a post request, and after here the API backend will have the information, returning a response to the agentic system. Let's put some colors. I'm going to do it blue. Blue for whatever it's kind of a GET request going to get some information. So let's put this in blue. Okay. And after here, we come back with the information. Let's use green for that. So green color, we're going to start entering into those posts. But let's just explain here discovery route. So the JSON or the information coming back can be just text as well. So going back to the tool, which will use it to perform user requests, requested action. Okay. Okay. So now the tool is calling the analyze route. Let me get rid of it and put it maybe separate in green. It's gonna look nice at the end. Put analyze here. That's the one which has been triggered. We've triggered the analyze endpoint. Okay. So let's make another green arrow going from analyze here to the application backend. So it comes with payload, it comes with different details in the payload. Let's use the same system here. Use the analyze route. Has been triggered. Okay, and now it's able to process. So this can be a sub-agent also. So the complexity behind that, you can just go as far as you want. But at least the agent is getting something returned to it. Okay, that's why it's good to use async calls because you don't know how long it's going to take to perform the task in the other end. So analysis of the result, send back. So analysis result, send back to the agentic system. Okay, in our scenario, user is sending a CSV file with some data, asking for an analysis of it. We got the information from the discovery route. That's what the tool, the agentic system tool, has decided to do. So he has selected the right tool for that. He doesn't know about what arguments are needed in the payload. So it's going to call that discovery endpoint, get the information. In the next call, process to the request to the analysis endpoint, analyze in the backend of the application. So we said that the analysis can be complex. This is fine, but at least it's going to be returning a response to the agentic system. And the user gets the result at the end. That's what I've put in orange arrow going up, back to the user. So the user request, it's a post request. I put get, but it's okay, I'm not going to change it. So here, let me do this. This is the whole application. Just to put some text on the top of it. So that's the remote application with endpoints. So remote service, we can call it also. So it can be, for example, you want to make a Terraform template. Your agentic system is going to call the Terraform endpoint. It's going to discover from the GET request what is available, how to do it. So this is what is taking a lot of context in the agentic systems, like when you use Claude, for example. So you might need to summarize at one moment when the context becomes too long. Or you might need to use sub-agent to break down the tasks into smaller ones. Okay? Smaller goal to make a larger, bigger goal. So you just break down everything, making sure that it's logic. And after here on the side, what I can build, I can write here maybe. I'm just gonna double up on those applications, other endpoints, some other remote service. So here, no need to go into the details. There are some endpoints, there are some informations, there are some different ways to process stuff. This is just to show that you can use it also. It will be the same for all the different services providers. That's how it became a standard, because everyone is using the same standard, is using the same way to make their documentation available, their services available to agentic systems. Here we get the schema JSON, can be another JSON, can be some documentation, it can be anything that the service is offering through this API. So just let's call it some other remote service. It's small, we can just use it like that. Okay, there can be many of those. That's why I duplicate it. Yes, for the people who just arrived, what we are doing here, we're trying to show how simple it is when a user calls an agentic system, how are the tools being discovered, and how are those tools then used by the agentic system to be able to perform some actions. And those tools, they represent services which are remote that you are using because they made available to you some different information, actions that they're going to do on behalf of your agent, which is going to be able to have more abilities like that. And the standardization of it makes it very helpful because all the providers can just use the same system. This is like, you know how everyone is using OpenAI kind of documentation or URL for the agentic system. It made life easy for everyone to use it. And you don't need to learn different ways for different providers. Everyone is using the same way. Okay, let's put this here. Just put it closer to the root here, and after here we get some other services which are discoverable. Yes, just to remind people, that's the system that I might be using for my node, the nodes that I want to make available to the public. So I want to create nodes which are pluggable to any agentic systems. Here we go. Okay, we got some other services discoverable. Here we go. So, seeing this part, hope that this gives you some ideas in what you can integrate into your existing agentic systems. And probably using also the nodes that I'm going to release. I'm still not sure of how I'm going to release those. Git repository, digital product, or digital product giving you access to a Git repository, or through a web application. I don't know yet, but the first use is for myself, building my own repositories of nodes that my different agentic systems are reusing. That's how the idea came to my mind, that I might share it with the public. So here, make API discoverable for your agentic system custom. Okay, so I think I'm done with the diagram. I can start explaining. We have an agent system. We have a user with a CSV. The user is not a GET, it's a POST request. To analyze the CSV, it's going to go the agent is going to call a tool, has selected a tool, but want to discover what the tool requirements are. And after here on the other side, we're just going to get the response. But before that, maybe we can explain. Yeah, there's a backend API to summarize, answer, and analyze. This analysis comes from, that's what the user is asking for, and there's a response that is sent by another endpoint called the discovery endpoint. So I'm just gonna maybe put the discovery endpoint in the application so that it's clear. Because explaining it, I realized that it's not clear. Let me just precise it. It's a freestyle. So we're just making it as we talk. Another route just for the discovery of the API. This route is called discovery. Maybe I should put it in blue. Let me get rid of this. Let me copy this here. Call it discovery. Or discover, it's okay. It's blue, and I put it like that. Okay, so we have the little schema here. That's what is going to be rendered. That's what the agentic system is going to hit. It's going to hit this discover route, and behind that route there is a JSON waiting to be returned as an answer. Okay, having the JSON ready. So you can think at different kind of responses, but here in our example, that's what we use. But as I said, it can be documents, documentation. It can be anything that your agentic system would need to process the user request. Okay, so the discovery is done. We got the informations, discovery route passed through the discovery endpoint. The endpoint has a JSON ready. Okay, and that's the JSON kind of information here the user is asking. Okay, get the description, which endpoints are available, what each endpoint is able to do, the payload, and you can get some more information here. Just keep it small. Agent getting full information from next call. Okay, so this is a loop. And at the next call, it's going to reevaluate if it needs another tool or not. Okay, discovery JSON information goes back to the tool, which will use it to perform user requests. Action, requested action. Okay, and after here, start the analysis. Now it can call the analysis. I don't know if I should put this on the side, outside with the other ones. Give me 3 seconds. Or should I just leave it as it was? Yeah. It's better to just leave it as it was. Just let me use this, put the arrow back. Yes, the arrow is back. Okay, so discovery is done. This has been discovered. Now we analyze. That's where we stopped. We analyze, we arrived in the application endpoint. Analysis is done. Result. Analysis result is sent back to the agentic system. Okay, and the user gets his results. Okay, there can be more complexity behind it, because it can be also some sub-agent systems, but at least with this you get an idea of how it works and how you can implement it. And when you're using, for example, Anthropic Claude, which is one of the best engineer AI at the moment, you'll be able to use it this way. If you have this map in your mind, you'll understand how you can break down everything in Claude and how you can template everything. I'm not using Claude, but I know how it is amazing, because it's very expensive. And I'm trying to work on local LLMs. I've been specialized on that. So I'm showing you here how you can make a custom one for yourself, for your own system. Okay, there's a lot of magic words coming. It's about marketing. It's just about API calls to some services, which are different services. So I'm going to end here with this. This is for the people who stayed to the end, who arrived at the end. Let me just put some text here. Talking by writing. So that is the system that I am going to use to make my internal tools available. Okay, so now I'll be able to have a VPS with a lot of tools there and just call different endpoints. Okay, it will also use it to make my nodes pluggable. So I'm thinking of a system. How I'm going to make those pluggable. It can be through a web app with different endpoints. It can be also through Docker, Dockerize the application, have it running on a Docker container, or for enterprise maybe Kubernetes. But to tell you the truth, you don't need Kubernetes for the moment. Just simplicity is the best. But with Kubernetes is nice if you use some small Kubernetes systems that can run in a VPS. Also, this can be nice. Simple, easy to understand for agents and to action. That's what we want. Let me look at the time. It's been almost 1 hour. So we're good with the time. I have some other stuff that I design here. For example, I'm working on an agentic app with a quorum decision party with human in the loop. And here that's a service that I provide. I'm delivering some code through GitHub. And I have some automation. Okay, see you next time.